Germany's Chancellor said his country needs to accelerate the inflow of skilled workers from outside the European Union, emphasizing that Germany's survival and economic prosperity hinge on the continued influx of foreign workers and that the country cannot thrive without them. Andrea Santos tells us more.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz called for an increased flow of skilled foreign workers outside the European Union, stating that Germany's economy depends on it. In a speech to lawmakers, Scholz introduced his Germany Pact, a comprehensive nationwide program that aims to boost the country's economy. Scholz told his fellow lawmakers that Germany needs foreign workers, emphasizing that 13 million workers will retire in the next decade, creating a labor shortage. He urged authorities to simplify immigration procedures to ensure that professionals like nurses from Georgia and ID specialists from India can quickly obtain visas and work permits. The Germany Pact includes digitalizing public administration, reducing business bureaucracy, securing clean energy, and expanding housing. In response, opposition leader Friedrich Merz called for measures to make job income more attractive and address illegal immigration as a priority. Germany saw 1.5 million net immigrants in 2022, with 2.7 million arrivals last year, including 1.1 million from Ukraine. The nation currently hosts 13.4 million foreigners, and 24 million of its 83.2 million population have an immigration background. A May poll showed that most Germans support stricter immigration policies, with nearly half wanting fewer refugees. 54% believe that the disadvantages of immigration outweigh the benefits, while only 33% think the opposite. Reporting, this is Andrea Santos, SMNI News.
In the United States, New York City Mayor Eric Adams revealed that his city is facing a huge financial problem due to immigration. He also said that mass immigration will destroy New York City unless something is done about it. Andrea Santos is back for more news.
And let me tell you something, New Yorkers. Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month.
This video of Mayor Eric Adams immediately went viral online after he revealed that New York City was being overwhelmed by migrants coming from various countries across the world, and that the city is facing a $12 billion budget deficit. More than 10,000 migrants are coming to New York a month, and while most of the newcomers in the past years originated from Central and South America. The most recent ones included Russian speakers coming through Mexico and people from Western Africa.
Every community in this city is going to be impacted. We had a $12 billion deficit that we're going to have to cut. Every service in this city is going to be impacted. All of us. And so I say to you, as I turn it over to you, this is some of the most educated, some of the most knowledgeable, probably more of my commissioners and deputy commissioners and chiefs live in this community. So as you ask me a question about migrants, tell me what role you played. How many of you organized to stop what they're doing to us? How many of you were part of the movement to say, we're seeing what this mayor is trying to do and they're destroying New York City? It's going to come to your neighborhoods. All of us are going to be impacted by this.
Adams has repeatedly sought the help from fellow Democrat U.S. President Joe Biden and Governor Kathy Hochul, apparently to no avail. The New York City mayor again asked them for more funding to expedite the work permits for migrants so that they could begin working and relieve at least some of the burden on New York City. A New York Times article reported that nearly 60,000 migrants currently occupy beds at the homeless shelters in New York City. A Politico article also reported that New York City spent $1.5 billion last fiscal year on housing and services for migrants, while receiving $140 million from the federal government. Adams' warnings were likely a complete turnabout of his words about immigrants, as he previously said that New York City was a sanctuary for immigrants under his administration. And on April of this year, the New York City Mayor Office announced the Immigrant Heritage Week to celebrate the arrival of 11,000 settlers to Ellis Island, 1907. Reporting, this is Andrea Santos, SMNI News.
A Ukrainian oligarch who is also the former sponsor of President Zelensky faces charges of embezzling millions by allegedly unlawfully diverting funds from a bank to strengthen his control over the institution. Carlo De La Peña has the details.
Ukrainian oligarch Ihor Kolomoisky, known for supporting President Volodymyr Zelensky, is facing serious legal charges after his country's National Anti-Corruption Bureau accused him of embezzling $250 million from Private Bank, a bank he used to control. According to the Anti-Corruption Bureau, Kolomoisky and 5 others allegedly orchestrated an illegal scheme in 2015 to take $250 million from Private Bank. They purportedly pretended to buy the bank's bonds at inflated prices, funneling the money to a company controlled by Kolomoisky. These funds were then used to finance one of Kolomoisky's offshore companies and increase his stake in Private Bank. Ukraine's Anti-Corruption Bureau has not revealed the identities of other suspects involved. This comes after recent allegations that Kolomoisky laundered and moved over $13 million abroad, using his influence over banking institutions he controlled, according to Ukrainian Security Services or SBU. These actions involved the illegal acquisition of assets obtained through criminal means. Kolomoisky was arrested last Saturday, September 2, and a court has ordered him to be detained for 2 months, with a bail set at $13.8 million. His legal team plans to challenge the arrest, and a hearing is scheduled for later this month. Ihor Kolomoisky rose to prominence in Ukraine in 2014 when he served as the governor of the southeastern Dnipropetrovsk region following the Maidan coup. However, his tenure was short-lived, as he was dismissed a year later due to conflicts with then-Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko. In 2016, Ukrainian authorities nationalized Private Bank, owned by Kolomoisky, citing extensive fraud and a threat to the country's financial system. Kolomoisky's influence on President Volodymyr Zelensky's rise to power has been scrutinized. Zelensky, a former comedian, had a television show called Servant of the People, hosted by a media holding controlled by Kolomoisky. While the oligarch publicly supported Zelensky's presidential campaign, he had denied any significant personal ties to the current Ukrainian president. However, Kyiv Independent article reported that it was Zelensky's party that started passing laws banning the return of seized banks to their ex-owners and forcing oligarchs to register in a state database. After the start of Russia's so-called special military operation, Kolomoisky reportedly saw his stake in oil refining companies, Ukhrnafta and Ukhrnafta, nationalized by the state, while his passport was allegedly stripped with Zelensky's undisclosed decree. Reporting, this has been Carlo De La Peña, SMNI News.
Due to fear of a nuclear war, Starlink CEO Elon Musk reportedly tried to shut down Ukrainian access to its satellite communications network when their forces were trying to attack the Russian fleet of the Crimea coast in 2022. But is there more to it, and what is the multi-billionaire's response? Let's find out more on Jane Cognita's report.
An excerpt from a biography written by Walter Isaacson, titled Elon Musk, revealed that the multi-billionaire and Starlink CEO was reportedly worried about being dragged into the war and ordered SpaceX engineers to turn off the satellite as the Ukrainian forces were attempting to attack the Russian fleet off the Crimea coast last year. Musk feared that Kyiv's attack would amount to a mini Pearl Harbor, which would lead to Russia resorting to nuclear retaliation. Isaacson wrote that after the satellites were disconnected, the Ukrainian drones lost connectivity and were washed ashore harmlessly. Musk reportedly told the biographer, and quotes, "How am I in this war? Starlink was not meant to be involved in wars. It was so people can watch Netflix and chill and get online for school and do good peaceful things, not drone strikes." End of quote. The biographer also claimed that Ukraine's ex-Deputy Prime Minister Mikhailo Fedorov begged Musk to restore access to the satellites. However, the billionaire denied the request and said that Kiev's drone attack was going too far and was inviting strategic defeat. Meanwhile, Elon took to X, formerly known as Twitter, to clarify that the Starlinks in question were not activated and that SpaceX did not deactivate anything. Musk also said, and quote, "There was an emergency request from government authorities to activate Starlink all the way to Sevastopol, the obvious intent being to sink most of the Russian fleet at anchor. If I had agreed to the request, then SpaceX would be explicitly complicit in a major act of war and conflict escalation." This revelation gained reaction from two famous senior officials of Russia and Ukraine: Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's top aide Mikhailo Podolyak and former Russian President and current Deputy Chair of Russia's Security Council Dmitry Medvedev. Podolyak took to X to lash out at Musk and accused him of being an ignorant with a big ego. Medvedev, on the other hand, took to X to praise Musk for being concerned about a retaliatory nuclear strike from Russia, calling him as the last adequate mind in North America. It can be remembered that Musk donated more than 20,000 terminals of Starlink to Ukraine at the beginning of the conflict in February 2022. But in October of last year, Musk wrote to the Pentagon saying that Starlink could no longer afford to continue funding the service. He also asked the Biden administration to cover the cost. But earlier this year, US and European governments negotiated a deal by paying for another 100,000 Starlink satellite dishes to be sent to Ukraine. Reporting, this has been Jane Cognita, SMNI News.